Anti-trans rhetoric is a moral panic. It is. Trans people are, to a lot of cis people, scary, different, weird. Some may even just say gross. And because of that, when arguing in the favor of trans rights, you're fighting an uphill battle. Because people are already prone to incredulously deny or discredit things that are new or strange to them. Obviously, I don't agree with this mindset. That's why I'm calling it out right now. But I think it's still important to explain where they are mentally, why they think like this, how they got there, right? So, where the right, or conservatives, anti-trans pundits, have focused a lot of their attention has been on kids. Intuitively, without much of an education about the issue of trans people, their existence, the things they face, their problems, etc., it's easy to just assume that being trans is like a thing that people do as a life decision. It's a lot like how well-meaning, like not necessarily homophobic, but still somewhat ignorant people who are straight imagine being gay. That it's like a choice that people make, and, you know, as long as they're not hurting anybody, who cares, right? It's not necessarily a hateful idea, but it is a by default ignorant idea that a lot of people, you know, go to when it comes to these issues. And when it comes to trans people, it's this idea that it's a very out there lifestyle choice, is how a lot of people see it. And so when conversations are ever brought up about whether or not kids should be allowed to transition, or any transition should be facilitated by doctors, parents, or any party whatsoever, it is a very easy gut reaction to say no. Just like getting a tattoo, or a crazy haircut, or a bunch of piercings, kids should not be allowed to make these crazy lifestyle choices. Maybe when they're older they can, but that's when they're fully cognizant adults, not when they're children. And you'll oftentimes hear talking points like, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a fire truck, or I thought I could become a dinosaur, or some shit like that, right? And it'll be used to throw a wrench in the idea that, like, kids can know what they want to be. Now, these are conversations that exist at a very low level of logical scrutiny. No one who makes these arguments is doing any research on these topics or looking into medical data, because if you do, you will find that things like medical transition, and one of the most popular parts in the process of transitioning for underage trans people, hormone blockers, are totally safe. For instance, if we go to cedarsinai.org, this is just one of many medical outlets and it's reputable outlets that will back up exactly what I'm telling you. While puberty blockers have been scrutinized by some due to their use in caring for transgender children, these drugs have been in use since the 1980s and are overwhelmingly safe if used appropriately. Side effects such as bone health risks typically occur only with prolonged use past the age of puberty, which is when you would obviously stop using puberty blockers, because after the age of puberty, you're basically an adult, and at that point, you just take hormones, because the conversation of they're too young to know what they want wouldn't really be a factor anymore, right? And so, things like puberty blockers exist as, like, the answer to the conservative argument, what if these kids don't know that they're trans? What if they just think that they're trans? We also got to talk about the fact that gender dysphoria is also recognized by doctors and scientists overwhelmingly, and it is agreed upon overwhelmingly that the proper treatment for gender dysphoria, especially in youth, is to validate their gender identity. It's to, if they say they're a girl, they're a girl. Let them dress as such. Let them change their name. Use their preferred pronouns. And if they want to prevent in this case, I guess, male puberty, then let them go on puberty blockers. It seems like with the recommendation of doctors and the guidance of doctors and medical professionals, it's completely safe and recommended. The thing is, though, there is a moral panic against it. And the right have declared war against trans people, and they have polarized people, particularly those that hold positions in government, against it. This is one of those situations where, much like with climate change, it doesn't matter what the scientists, the doctors, the actual profession, the professionals in these fields say. once the populist sentiment has gotten inflamed enough, then you might get a story like this. UK Health Secretary confirms ban on puberty blockers. The UK is banning puberty blockers for minors, specifically only in the case of having gender dysphoria, because they've already used puberty blockers for decades for other issues. So it's not that the puberty blockers are unsafe, it's just they're banning it as a treatment, which is agreed upon to be by the medical community, for gender dysphoria in youth.
Evidence about the long-term effects of using puberty blockers to treat gender incongruence to know whether they are safe or beneficial. I am acting on the Commission.
This is untrue, by the way. The medical consensus opposes this. This is the same as when a Republican politician goes up and says, there's no such thing as climate change, it's a Chinese hoax. It's yeah, politicians can have this opinion even when the actual truth or the scientific consensus is contrary to it.
Advice to put an indefinite order in place to restrict the sale or supply of puberty blockers through a prescription issued by either a private UK prescriber or a prescriber registered outside the UK for under 18s. I know it's not easy being a trans kid in our country today. The trans community is at the wrong end of all of the statistics for mental ill health, self-harm, and suicide.
You just contributed even further to it. Pretending like you care about the statistics or the data when the data shows that a lack of acceptance and a lack of provided gender affirmation care leads to a higher rate of depression and suicide in trans people, and that providing that care lowers that rate, in some cases by 80%. It's very clear that you don't actually care. Thanks for the virtue signal, though, bro. We totally fall for it. This is how British people are rude, by the way. British people are never overtly rude. They're never in your face about how they don't like you or they think you're shit. They're always very sly and sarcastic about it. It's part of British culture. Any Britbongers in chat can confirm this. This is just a British thing. They're never honest about how they don't like you. They'll just say something a little bit smarmy and a bit of a backhanded insult.
All of the statistics for mental ill health, self-harm, and suicide. I can't pretend to know what that's like, but I do know what it's like to feel you have to bury a secret about yourself, to be afraid of who you are, to be bullied for it.
Read the room, bro. What are you doing? Read the room.
And then to experience the liberating experience of coming out. I know it won't feel like it based on the decisions I'm taking today, but I really do care about this, and so does this government. I'm determined to improve the quality of care and access to healthcare for all trans people. There is not...
You just restricted access to care for trans people. You can't... It's like cutting taxes on the rich and saying, I am opposed to cutting taxes for the rich, as you... in your statement about cutting taxes for the rich. What are you doing? I'm glad the comments are calling it out. It's inhumane that vulnerable groups are taken advantage of and pushed down a harmful path. A lot of us get suppressed for minor pushback. Wait, something common sense is done by... Oh, wait, never mind. They're all in favor of it. Wait, something common sense is being done by the government? This is bizarre. There it is, guys. Did I not tell you? Common sense. When something is common sense, you don't challenge it logically in your head. You don't Google things to see if maybe your ideas are incorrect, because it's common sense. Of course. The first useful thing the Labour government have done. It's criminal this was ever allowed in the first place. Doctors responsible for child sterilization should be in prison. It does not sterilize any children, by the way. The only sensible answer I've heard from this government in the past few years. The only sensible thing I've heard from this government so far. Finally, the UK being sensible. America should follow suit. The first sensible thing the British government has done for a long... How many of these are bots? These have to be bots. There has to be bots flooding this comment section. I would have thought it was fatal to mess around with the body's natural puberty cycle like that. For those that have taken... I would have thought it'd be fatal to mess with the body's natural puberty cycle? These are the people These are the medical geniuses on the anti-trans side of things, folks. For those that have taken them, the damage will probably be irreversible. Why not just Google it? You said probably because you clearly don't know. You weren't even confident enough to state it will be. You clearly don't know, so why not Google it? Just you clearly acknowledge a lack of concrete knowledge in this field. This never should have been allowed in the first place. All people need to read the Vedas and learn about the third XCS. These blockers should never have been allowed for children. Tick at last, someone from Labor gets it right. Great work ban puberty blockers, streeting, preventing harm to kids. Thank you. And I hope those who were harmed by puberty blockers get justice. Something useful for a change. How did this take so long to sort out? Can't believe... So, like, I need you to understand. Trans acceptance, especially in the UK, is very sparse. We're actually backsliding on trans acceptance hard. The right have had possibly one of the most successful anti-minority group campaigns in the history of anti-minority group campaigns, at least in modern day. You know, I think the Germans did a little better in the 1940s. Yeah. I don't know what else to tell you other than, like, there's not a single comment calling this bad. I'm definitely heated, yeah. If I sort by newest as well, all the comments are positive as well. Never allow the psychological terrorist organization Stonewall to order kids forced sterilization in the name of deranged lefty pervert ideology. What the hell? UK being based? At least one comment from Skidnap7. Disgraceful, shame on labor. Zero upvotes, 0 likes. Here we go. Yes, you have no right to destroy my child's life. How logical of you. 0 likes. Yeah. Unfortunately, trans rights have been dealt a massive blow today, and to thunderous applause of the people of the UK. I don't really know what else to say. The right has been attacking the idea of informing yourself, demonizing the idea of educating yourself on these topics. They'll like call you a groomer if you're pro-trans. Like, people who are pro-trans are scared to say as such. It's been made to be shameful to be pro-trans, and that's been their goal the whole time. They succeeded. I am not going to expect things to get better anytime soon. In fact, I expect things to get a lot worse before they get better. Scary times we're in right now, but the whole world has shifted right in the last couple years, particularly among young voters, young politically active people, particularly young men. I don't know what the future looks like. I hope it gets better, but man, the incel movement, it's getting bigger. The right's getting more popular. Trump had more votes than ever this election. Times are tough, guys. Times are very tough. Anyway, if y'all want to support the channel because you enjoyed this video, found it entertaining or educational, then please consider leaving a like. Every single thumbs up you leave on my videos or streams really does go a long way to support the channel in the algorithm, and I really do appreciate it a lot. As always, you guys can subscribe or ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload a new video. You can follow my social medias, all linked down below in the description, and you can also support me by you can support me financially by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, or supporting me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buying merch through the Streamlabs link down below in the description. Regardless of how you support me though, thank you so much for watching. And as always, have a good one.